Hey explorers, Brian here, and are you ready to join me as we check out some ships in the middle of a desert? Or how about a giant, continually burning fire pit? Well, what if I tell you that we can watch a freestyle rap battle? Curious yet? Our lesson objective today is to be able to identify the countries of Central Asia and their physical features, governments, and cultural traditions. And don't worry, I won't be the one rapping for you. At least, after I say, my name is Brian. On a guided tour, I'll never bore ya. I got a lesson on Central Asia coming for ya. Central Asia contains Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. They are all newly formed countries as they have been under the control of the Communist Soviet Union until the 1990s. And yes, they all end in Stan. And you might wonder why. So let's end that mystery right away. Stan means land of or place of. And the first part of each country's name refers to the predominant ethnic group that resides in the land. So, for example, Kazakh plus Stan equals the land of the Kazakh ethnic group. Yep, it's that simple. These Central Asian countries are enclosed by the Caspian Sea to the west, the Siberian forest to the north, and the Tian Shan and Pamir Mountains to the southeast. Let's now dig a little bit deeper into the physical characteristics of the region. Physical characteristics. If you love natural beauty and solitude, then Central Asia is the place for you. The southeastern portion is extremely mountainous. The name Tian Shan means mountains of heaven, and this spectacular range fits that description. Along with the Pamir Mountains, centered in Tajikistan, these ranges rise to heights which surpass 24,000 feet. Also in the Pamirs is the Fedchenko Glacier, which, at 48 miles, is the longest glacier in the world outside of the polar regions. Hike on! To the west, the elevation drops considerably. Here, the Sirdarya and Amudarya rivers connect the mountains to the Aral Sea, which lies between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And speaking of seas, you'll notice that Central Asia has very little coastline. The nearest ocean is 500 miles away. There is one massive body of water, though, the Caspian Sea. And it's time for another geography controversy. The Caspian is the world's largest inland body of water, but it is inland, leading some to argue that it is, in fact, a lake. Well, whatever it is, it's big, which leads to this fiery geography debate. And speaking of fiery, is there anything hotter than a continually burning natural gas fire pit in the middle of a desert? That's exactly what you find east of the Caspian in the Karakum Desert, which, along with the Kizilkum, are two of Asia's largest. The climate in the desert is, predictably, arid to semi-arid. Elsewhere, you will find an extreme continental climate, very hot summers and very cold winters. The people. We mentioned solitude before. Approximately 67 million people live in Central Asia. Now, if that sounds like a lot, keep in mind that Asia's total population is 4.5 billion. No country in Central Asia has more than 187 people per square mile. Along with the highest population density, Uzbekistan is the most populous country of Central Asia, with over 33 million people. Here's another fact to show you how sparse the population is here. Almaty, Kazakhstan is the largest city of the region with 1.9 million residents, and yet it is only the 85th largest city of Asia. Wow! There are a total of 4 cities with over 1 million residents in Central Asia. Ethnicity and religion. Each country is at least 70% Muslim. As the countries were absorbed into the Soviet Union in the 1920s and 30s, however, religious participation was discouraged. To this day, as you move closer to Russia, the ties to Islamic culture generally become weaker. You'll also find a blend of Islam and shamanism among many nomadic groups. A majority of Central Asians trace their origins to the Turkic nomads from what is now northern China and Mongolia. Languages in these countries are generally related to the Turkic language family. An exception would be the Tajik, an Iranian ethnic group which arrived during the Iranian Samanid Empire. In addition, many Central Asians speak Russian, the official language during the Soviet occupation. Since arriving in Central Asia, the Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and Turkmen have remained predominantly nomadic, while the Uzbeks and Tajiks have been a bit more rooted. Each Central Asian country also has a significant minority population. For instance, 25% of Tajikistan's population is Uzbek. One-third of Kazakhstan is Russian. Most ethnic tensions revolve around the delineation of borders since the breakup of the Soviet Union. Life expectancies are relatively short, in the high 60s to low 70s. Despite this, birth rates are higher than the world average. As a result, each of the Central Asian nations are projected to see population increase by 2100, with Tajikistan on target to nearly triple. Government and economy. After the Central Asian nations gained independence, former Soviet leaders remained in power, often employing repression tactics used during communist rule. Today, while the governments are labeled republics, they are identified by Freedom House as not free. Corruption, unfair trials, a lack of press freedom, and gender inequality are persistent problems. Since the late 2010s, though, efforts have been made in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan to legitimize the democratic process and provide educational opportunities for women. Only one country, Kazakhstan, rates in the top 100 countries of the world on the Human Development Index. It has the highest GDP per capita at $9,100, still below the world average of $10,900. 3 countries, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan, fall below $2,000 per capita. Traditionally, the Central Asian peoples were nomadic herders. However, under the Soviet command economy, people were settled in villages to work on government farms. In Kazakhstan, irrigation systems were built to bring water to the southern part of the country to grow cotton. These canals diverted water from the Aral Sea and shrank it so much, by 95%, that the former fishing town of Moynok is now nearly 100 miles from the water. Since independence, the nations have continued to progress, some more than others. The region relies heavily on commodities such as oil, gold, and uranium. In the northern steppe region of Kazakhstan, you can find Chernozem, a rich black-colored topsoil with high agricultural yield. Tourism plays a role as well. Along with the incredible natural beauty, visitors come to see prominent cities along the historic Silk Road. If you go to Samarkand, Uzbekistan, you can see the magnificent Registan, a spectacular public square which is a testimony to the wealth that the Silk Road brought to the region. Culture. Central Asia is a unique blend of Soviet, Islamic, and nomadic culture. Hospitality is important, and guests hold a position of honor. A refusal to accept the offer, yes, that includes dried ox milk cheese, can be viewed as an insult. So, while it may not be something you're used to, it's been sustaining the Central Asians for thousands of years, so why not give it a try? Cuisine is drawn from a variety of influences, including Persia, China, and Russia. Historically, nomads relied on meat and dairy products. Nowadays, that continues in the nations with a strong nomadic tradition, serving dishes like chalope, a soup made from fermented milk. In more settled cultures, stew and noodle dishes such as lagman are consumed. Tea is very popular across Central Asia, especially before a meal. And now, let's get to the rap battles. In Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, poets called akins still participate in freestyle lyrical battles, accompanied by string instruments. This tradition dates back thousands of years, and today many spectators pack arenas to watch these competitions as they are a source of great cultural pride. Another vital heritage of Central Asia is horseback riding, which helps the ancient nomadic tradition of the Turkic peoples to live on. And it's practical too. In Kazakhstan, horseback riders use trained golden eagles to hunt foxes. Soccer is also popular, as are wrestling and cycling. Conclusion. So, folks, that does it for Central Asia. Now come on down off the saddle and let's see what we've learned. Yep, we covered a lot. And as you know from our Europe unit, there's a learning curve for newly independent former Soviet republics. Now that these Central Asian nations have a couple decades of autonomy behind them, let's see how they progress to keep up with their growing populations. Well, explorers, I've got to head out. The last ship out of Moynok is leaving soon. I'll only be a little while. Let's hope I can meet up with you at our next stop. Until then, keep exploring.
Hey, hey.